Boys and girls, welcome back once again to the show. I was trying to go live. I had it set up for a time, but I couldn't get the horizontal, the camera. I don't know what happened, but I wasn't able to put it together. I don't know if that was another attempt, another attempt, to the TV tower. I don't know what happened. And exactly, yeah. So we don't know. Remember this channel, is too, it's too for real. We are a public service watch announcement channel. You know that, absolutely, the ICA. So I want to, welcome you guys back to the show. I have a few things that I want to share with you guys today. Don't Please don't forget to give the channel a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Please do. So everything that I'm telling you, this channel, as you know, this is a public service watch announcement channel. The only one that you're gonna find, the only channel that's gonna give you all this knowledge, that I'm giving you guys. And today, I'm gonna give you even more knowledge, so you guys continue to, grow bigger in what's the watch, industry. So please don't forget about all those things. It really would help out the channel to continue growing, and as Sweet Kid Kino wants certain things that I should say and I shouldn't say, but I don't care. I'm a blabbermouth. I'm like Ralph Cramden. Ralph Cramden from the Honeymooners. He has a blabbermouth. Well, I got a blabbermouth myself too. But everything that I say here is allegedly. All right, guys. I want to start by telling all of you that we had a great day as of 10:54 a.m. 10:54 a.m. That material, which I call it, the silver white, that silver white stuff, that silver white stuff. It went all the way up to $50.16, and then $50.18, and it really, smashed that Hunt Brothers, troy ounce price that they have from 1980, 49.45. So I wanted to let you know about that, and also, as you know, the dollar, to the ones that don't know this, the dollar went up, went up. So when the dollar goes up, you have a dip. You have a dip everywhere. You have a dip, in gold and silver and all that good stuff. So that happened, and so the dollar, did a little movement there. Did a little movement, and yeah, it's what it is. I've told you guys already that this is gonna go like this, like that, and then like this, and then like that. It happens. This is the way it is. This is the way it behaves. So I wanted, to run that through you guys, so you guys know what's going on. Because some of you will, start asking me questions that, oh my God, it went down a little bit. It's what it is. It's gonna, but then it's gonna go back up again. It's gonna go up again. So it doesn't, get me worried whatsoever, because I feel like I feel like I understand the way this thing behaves, and maybe you guys do. Maybe you guys understand the way it behaves. So, it's what it is. You guys. Thank you, Kevin, for that thumbs up, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you again, From Damon, Mr. Damon too. And Mr. Donor. All of you guys are here. Again, guys, I wanna I wanna start by talking a little bit about you know a couple of months ago, we had this gentleman, from over there. I call him in a sweet way, the Lion King, the Lion King, that Lion King guy over there from 47th Street in the Diamond District, over there, has a skin tight hair and a man bun, and he wears a lot of clover, bracelets like my daughter has. My daughter. My wife doesn't really like him too much, but my daughter, she likes him, and so we had to, when she graduated, from the university, so we got her one of those clovers. But that guy over there, the Lion King, he got clobbered in the head, and they took away from him $500,000, in inventory. And I explained to you guys, something that all this happens when all these people, get too much in their head, too much debt. So they orchestrate, allegedly, 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 they orchestrate, this stage situation. They clobber you in the head, and then they always blame it on two. They blame it on two, and they come out in TV, and you guys think that they're in TV. They're paying them. They pay themselves to put me here. Let me come out on your show saying a couple of things, and ba 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 ba. But I told you that all of them are going through this, and this has been happening, even before that Lion King started. Even before the Lion King started, it was going on. It's es una cosa que pasa. This happens. It continues. It happens in New York. It happens in Miami, Florida. It happens in California, and all that good stuff, right? And they do it because they need funds. Because they have taken so much inventory on credit. Listen to me. Inventory on credit. Me, Juan Felipe Nieves, I get material stolen on credit. I do a letter of credit, a credit line. I know you guys are smart, but I'm just trying to make it simple for the ones that don't know about this. And I get terms 30, 60, 90, 120 days. You send them a little wire, to my people, in Italy, Spain, blah, 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 blah. But these people, they too much sushi, too much, $17,000 steak, with too much salt, like that, cutting around, and too much things, it gets out of control, and then you have to, allegedly rob yourself. So what I'm trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, we have a gentleman. If you look into this, you're going to see it. Because these are the ones, since they come out and they're there, so we'll show it to you, I'll talk to you about it, So there's a guy over there from California, somewhere in California over there. And the gentleman is supposedly, an unbelievable, all these people are unbelievable jewelry designers. So the guy is like an Aladdin, Aladdin. Aladdin, the guy from the carpet, Aladdin, So we're going to call him Aladdin so you understand what I'm saying. And you can, when you start doing your search, you know what's up. You get it, you coño. This Nieves is unbelievable. So the guy over there, this Aladdin, Aladdin guy from over there from LA, special jeweler. He's over there, with his honey, with his squeeze. You know what a squeeze is, right? His squeeze, his honey, his Betty. And he's over there, bah, 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 bah. And ladies and gentlemen, you got to see these people the way they act. And I don't mean act as in acting, as acting. So the guy, all the cameras, channel 10, ABC, NBC, and the guy comes out of his car with his hands in his head and like this, you know what I'm trying to say, He like this in his head and he's screaming and they took the whole bag, and then he says they punctured the front tire, so I have a flat tire and the guy is driving a little, a little, I don't know, one of those Hyundai SUVs, but he's an unbelievable designer like Versace, and he gets up, so he says that somebody punctured his car, or he says that he got a flat tire in the front, driver's side, and he stopped. And when he stopped, that's when the people jumped and they went to get his bag. And inside his bag, he had there $250,000, $300,000, $200,000, ¿Tú entiendes? El tumbe, I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say, There it is, boom. And then he screamed, I can't believe. This is, the way they operate, You understand me? Jesse Jesse Smollett. And when you see the guy, you're gonna go, coño, this Nieves is unbelievable. He gives you a description without even saying a name, and he told you what it is. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I have learned from all my organic watch channel subscribers to use the word allegedly. Allegedly. Just in case they throw a thunder lightning in my TV tower and everything gets disconnected. Everything I say is allegedly. I'll give it to you. Here it is. ¿Tú entiendes? You know what I'm trying to say. If you look into it right now, you're going to find it. Over there, jeweler, over there in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, California. When you find it, you're going to tell me this one is unbelievable. But ladies and gentlemen, I can't take that credit. The one that knows all that is Sweet Kino. I don't, he gives it to me and I read it to you guys. So this is the new standard that we have. These people are doing tricks, to continue living that lifestyle that is out of their hands, it's out of control. So I wanted to tell you that, I wanted to tell you that. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I told you always that there's always problems in the world, in the politics, and those, politicians, around the world, and people try to do things, and I keep on telling you, because some of you don't believe me, don't believe what I say, and that's fine. That's part of the gig that you don't believe me. Correct, like that guy. Like trucking sweat stained hat with jumbo whiteout ears, small little hands, small little feet, skin tight leotard jeans, just like that guy, trucking sweat stained hat. They all mimic, they all mimic the same thing, So, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you that it's a big business and it must continue going on. All those I'm gonna call them problems. All those problems that we have in Venezuela and that we have in Russia and Ukraine, that we have in I think it's called. And if I say it wrong, please forgive me. Don't get offended. With all the problems we have over there, I think it's called the Middle East, Hamas and Israel. If I say it wrong, you help me out. You know what I'm saying? You help me out. Hamas, and Israel. But ladies and gentlemen, the guy over there, you know what I'm talking about. The guy over there in Pennsylvania Avenue, he's been trying to do a peace, a peace between those two, allegedly, between those two, people, over there, Hamas and Israel. I don't know too much about it, but I know about business. And they've been trying to, to hold, fire. I don't know how they use those people are very smart, hold fire, peace tree. I don't know what it is, But then, ladies and gentlemen, they'll come out and say, we can't come into agreement because, la guerra, a war is a business. It's a business. So I wanted to pass by that to you guys. I don't want to get into that because this channel is not a political or politician or whatever it is, a war channel, but I'm trying to, give you, para que usted pueda entender how this is, and everything is hush hush, He made peace, take it easy, Damon. Por el amor de Dios, Damon, take it easy. They, I gotta say that one tomorrow, man. Peace between McDonald's and Burger King. This is the best channel in the world. We've been chosen as the #1 watch market update show in the world. Self-proclaimed, and also by no other than Fudenki. Letting you guys know. McDonald's and Burger King. Unbelievable. So, you know what I'm trying to say, Pete. You know your stuff, you know? So, this is what it must continue on. You know, it must continue on. It's, you know, hay una meta. Hay una meta, and it must continue on. Just to let you guys know about that. Para que no se, don't fall asleep, you know? Eh, I wanna say something else to you guys, and I tell you that all these watch dealers, watch backpackers, you know, and I told you the la cuna means in English the crib, you know, the baby crib, la cuna is born over there. It's born over there in 47th Street, you know, en la 47 in the Diamond District. You know, that's where it's born. I don't, you know, these people are the ones that teach the rest. You know, how to do stage, how to do a stage sale, how to do a stage. You bought something. These people from over here, you know, these people, the Ten Commandments, you know what I'm saying? The subway train jumper, you know, subway train jumper, all that's cool. Vacuum, you know, vacuum, you know, vacuum, you know, the genie, you understand? Sinbad, all these people, the toothless guy, you know, these guys are the master. These guys are the master. And you're saying, but Juan, what do you mean by that? Hold on, I'm gonna get there. So these people, they are the ones que le enseñan a todo el mundo. Eso así, Julius, that's like that. They teach everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you from the batch of releases of Rolex watches that came out sometime in March, you know, April, I don't know, April, May, March, you know what I'm saying? The release of those watches that came out. If you look at all the watches, the ones that are really, really the hype watches of that batch that came out, you know, from the graduation class of 2025. You know, we're going to call it the graduation class of 2025 from, you know who, right? From the Kino. You have two watches there, and both of them are Daytonas, right? You have the Tiffany, and you have the second generation John Mayer. You know what I'm saying? Those two watches. So I'm gonna show you something now. So a lot of these people, you know, they put down that they have this watch for sale, and they do have it for sale. Let's start off with the second generation John Mayer green dial with the gold gauges, right? They put it down. They put it in a chat. They put it down in a, you know, social media platform. They put it there for sale. You guys know that that watch is somewhere, you know, low 80s to, you know, the 70 range, right? The $70,000 range. But somebody puts it there for, you know, to entice everybody that's in the chats, in the group, in the watch groups, you know, all that stuff. Because if you guys think there's only 2 or 3 watch groups, I got a surprise for you. I'm un cojón. You know, I'm un cojón. If you don't know what I said, you Google it, because I'm not going to tell you. I'm un cojón. You know, un cojón. So what happens? They put it there, and they put the watch for sale at a price that doesn't sound like it's a make-believe price. It sounds very, very fair. You know, they put it, so you understand me. They'll say something like $72,000, right? $72,000. And somebody that has paid to join one of those groups, you know, one of those chats, they see it, they go bananas, you know. One of you Lambones sees it, says, my God, they have their second generation John Mayer with the green dial gold gauges for $72,000. Y tú vas como un lambón, and boom, and you said you want it, you know, you want it, and then you make arrangements with that guy, you know, with the guy that's selling it, you know, because he's also in there. En los chats se presta la delincuencia. In the chats, you have delinquents too. In the chats, you have delinquents. Afterwards, they kick them out, you know, but they're delincuentes también. And I'm going to show you what kind of delinquents they are. They're unbelievable. These people, this is why I told you que aquel lugar es la cuna. That place over there is the crib where everything is born, you know, where everything is new and it comes out. And then the Michiganders from LA, you know, Miami, Florida, tú entiendes? They learn, they, you know? So what happens is you pay for it. But the guy never told you one moment that the watch was out of the country. Should we use, I don't know, Hong Kong, Japan? I don't know. Let's use Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong. They never tell you that the watch is from Hong Kong. And now you send them the money, the $72,000. Supposedly, allegedly, you send them the $72,000, right? That watch, now he's going to tell El Lambón, El Palomo, oh, you know, I want you to know that the watch is in transit. After, yeah, you got the wire, you know, after you got the money in your hand, that watch is in transit. I have it. It's my watch. Listen to this. It's my watch. I have it over there in Hong Kong, and it's coming down. And you know, for that watch, from the moment you bought it, to come down from Hong Kong to the United States of America, wherever it is, papi, it passes 3 weeks, right? That's one. Now they got your cash. Now they got your, papi, this is the #1 watch market update show in the world. I do this for free, man. I do this for free. And people tell me always, but why do you do it? What do you get from it? I say, papi, that's none of your business what I get from it. That's none of your concern what I get from it. You know, there's nothing, and I'm not even going to tell my organic watch channel subscribers, but I'm going to teach you. And when you leave here 30 minutes from now, you're going to leave smarter. Man, this frogging guy is unbelievable. The things that he says, it'll blow your mind away. That's what I want you to say. And you say, but how do you know it? Don't worry about how I know it. You guys might not think that Kino exists. Kino's not here right now. Kino's having some problems with his chick. You know, I call it his chick. You know, she's a gold digger and she's blowing him, acabando con él, you know? But he does exist, you know? So where was I at, right? Over there in Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong. And that takes in transit, you know, 2-3 weeks. That's one. In 3 weeks, they're playing with your money. Y a ti, te tienen el lambón. And they have you as a un lambón. How's that? You know what lambón is, you know? Can't do nothing about it. They got your money. Now comes part 2. When that watch comes over here, you gotta pay. You gotta declare. You gotta declare, right? You gotta declare. You hear me? You understand me? So you gotta declare now. You gotta pay, you know, some duties on that watch. That's number 2. Now he's gonna tell you, you know what? You know what, customer? Yes, what happened? What happened, Kino? I'm calling to let you know because I have to let you know everything. The watch came in and I forgot to tell you. I didn't run it through you. These are all things that are told to you after. You know, after. All the way in. All the way in. You know? After. So now they tell you, you know, I'm not going to pay the duties, you know, because the price I gave you, you know what it is. I gave you a great price. Ba 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 ba. And you're like, what? Yeah, I gave you a great price on the watch. And so we have, you know, we have duties. Papi, there's nothing you can say about that because he already has your $72,000. Tú caíste ya en tres cosas. Entregaste el dinero, you gave your money up, you took a rendezvous. You know how to say that? Rendezvous. You know, I don't know, when you go there, to kiss your girl, rendezvous, for 3 weeks. Help me out, guys. Help me out. Please, help me out. I'm helping you guys out. Help me out. Get involved in the channel. Get involved. He told Damon, I told Damon, It's a luxury gentleman, una jodienda. Bravo. Bravo, papá. So now they tell you that, you gotta pay, duties, the mortgage, whatever it is, you know the game, you know what the mortgage is? The mortgage? Like, it happens to me every once in a while, the inspection on the container, they open it up to see if there's any cockroaches, any flim flammers, any fleece in there, they have to spray it, bait and switch, papi, the bait and switch. Thank you, Damon. Tell him, Damon, tell him. So they got you on 3 things, papi. 3 things. You gave up your money. You went on Damon, is it called rendezvous? Rendezvous? How do you say that word? I want to learn how to say it. I'm going to tell my wife tomorrow, Friday, let's go to rendezvous. You know what I'm trying to say, So, again, now the watch is wandering around for 3 weeks. The guy's playing with your $72,000, and then he comes up and tells you that you got to pay all these fees and, and all these things. Y mira, otra vez, papi, he's not denying that he's going to give you the watch. He's not denying that he's going to give you the watch. He's going to give you the watch, and he might complain in the chat, but he is not stealing your money. He's not, saying that he's not going to give you the watch. He's not saying that, it just popped out that, that I have to pay, duties, and it goes to you. But ladies and gentlemen, I told you 3 things. 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to give you the 4th one. You're going to go, wow. It works like a charm, Bobby. It works like a charm. So you got the guy over there. Let's say Tokyo. Tokyo. Let's say the guy's in Tokyo. And that guy from Tokyo is the real owner of that watch. You understand? Not the trucking sweat stain hat. No. Not the subway train jumper. Not the genie. Not the genie, with the skin tight hair and the man bun, and the man, the clover. No. The owner of the watch is the guy from over there, from Hong Kong, Tokyo, those places, over there. And he's selling the watch to this guy. This guy never had the watch in power. This watch he was the owner of this watch. He was none of that. He was none of that. He was just brokering. No sean lambones y palomos. Brokering. He was a broker in the middle. He was a broker in the middle. Middleman, So that guy talks to Kino, and he says, yeah, what's the price you're going to give me? I'll take it from you. Listen to this so you understand how this works. I'll take it from you. You take care of, I'll take care of the guy over there. The guy from over there, from Xinjiang, from Xinjiang over there, from Tokyo. He said, I take care of all the duties and all that good stuff. If you look into duties on a $72,000 watch, there's a couple of, I told you that those people over there, from 47th Street in the Diamond District, son una jodienda, papi. They're masters. They're masters. They're going to see this video. They'll see it tomorrow again. And they're going to see this video. And they're going to go like this. That I said Frogger, okay? You know, sin luz, papi, para adentro, all the way. Saludos, Nelson. I'm happy you're hearing me, Nelson. Because I gotta come back to what I'm an expert. I believe that I'm an expert, papi. I really believe that I'm an expert. I'm only frogging with you guys. I'm only frogging. But I think I know something about that, that dark world, So, the guy over there from Changing says, I take care of all these duties, whatever it is, I pay. So what does Kino do? Kino passes all those duties to who? To you, Scooby-Doo. And that's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what's happening now. The brokering machine is on fire now. And that's how it works. And I use those watches so you understand what I'm saying. It can be any watch. Because I'm telling you, there's nobody. I don't think there's, we always talk about, Shaggy Rogers, Papi. Shaggy Rogers. Te dejaron como Shaggy Rogers. Shaggy Rogers has Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo has Shaggy Rogers. I don't know if you guys know this. I would, some years ago I would talk about Shaggy Rogers and Scooby-Doo. People would look at me like I was crazy, But the Scooby-Doo was, era más inteligente que Shaggy. Shaggy was always, squeaking around, Shaggy Rogers, So this is the way the game is. But those people, listen, man, when you're able to create an illusion like that, that's when dude, estos son los mejores vendedores que hay. These are the best salespeople there are. They can't hang out, with the eclectic guy, that went to, Rolly Fest in New York. They can't hang out with those people, because those people, what they have in la cabeza, what those people have in the head, that's a different. I'm talking about marañero, marañero, siempre está pensando la maraña. Maraña is you're a shady character. You're shady. You're not a delinquent, but you're shady. They quite can't see you. Do you guys understand what I said or no? Just give me a thumbs up and I'll keep on going. But if not, lo vamos para casa de él. You understand me? So they can't hang out with Raleigh Fest over there with the, with the monkey suit and the big tie. Like they live, exactly. Like they live, Mr. Donor, And that type of stuff. And that's how they create these illusions, bro, that you say, oh my God. And then when they're telling, like, say me, when they tell me, I'm like sitting down and they look at me, what's wrong, Juan? And I said, nah, I just think that's brilliant, man. I just think that's brilliant. How's that? I'm being honest, square business. I just say, coño, no joda. They didn't steal the watch. They prolonged the watch from getting in. They knew it wasn't going to get here next week or tomorrow. It was never theirs, And the real owner, like the Wizard of Oz, the real owner's back there in the curtain, hidden away. And that's how the trick goes. This is why I say that these people are unbelievable, It's increíble. It's brilliant, but there it is. It's brilliant, but it's frogged up. But it's the most beautiful thing about that, about those blueprints, there's nothing you can do about it. Now check this out. So what happened when he calls, the group and he complains? There's nothing that they can do either because he's coming through. I said, no. Papi, you don't think that those groups know what's going on? That's the fifth one. You don't think those groups know what's going on? Papi, what I told you guys for free, it's that's why they get so mad at me, because they said, but what do you get by telling them this? No, I'm making them smart. because you 22 that are here are gonna tell one friend. You 22 will tell each a new friend, a friend of yours, and that friend will tell the other one, and that friend will tell the other one, and that friend. It'll spiral out of control like a snowball. Like what I talked to you guys about. It'll spiral out of control. This is the new one. I'm gonna ask a question to Mr. Damon and Mr. Ed Blair and Mr. Donut, Pete, Nelson. I'm too many names to tell me. What chapter should I put this one in? What chapter? What chapter should I put this in? And then, ladies and gentlemen, I got 20 people listening because I'm looking up there. I can see how many people here. I got 20 organic Watch Channel subscribers listening very intense and only 12 thumbs up. Yeah, chapter was 20. Hey, you're on top of the game, Damon. Chapter 29 was yesterday, but you can pick one for me, Damon, wherever you think this one belongs. This is another chapter for you guys. And they're going to tell you, because everything that I'm going to tell you, they're going to tell you, that's not like that. That's not true. He's a liar. He's a liar. But, if you're smart and you go, coño, that makes chapter 30. Okay, chapter 30. Chapter 30. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Donut, for that chapter. This is chapter 30 now. How they broker and how they say, I'm the owner of the watch. And in your mind, you're talking to Juan Felipe Nieves, allegedly. Juan Felipe Nieves. No, I got it for $72,000. But how the hell did you get it for $72,000? That's an $80,000 watch. How did you get it? No, I got it, man. I'm in a group chat that I paid $2,000 to join. Bet you didn't know that either. $2,000. $2,000. 2,000, 2,500, 1,500. The cheaper they are, it's garbage. You want to go to, $2,500, $3,000. And you go to those chats, you go, oh my God. Everything that Mr. Nieves has been telling us is just like he says. I mean, these people don't want to make watching you guys. They don't want to make $1,000 on you guys. Are you crazy? Those days are over. You got them used to that. You gave them all your SBA money. You gave them all your PPP money. Government grants, stimulus checks, unemployment checks, protection employment checks. To pay la nómina, to pay your workers. They got used to that, papi. Those people want to make, a solid 5 Gs, deep, on high watches, They're not going to, move around a watch that costs $70,000, $50,000 for $500,000. They're not. You know what I'm saying? So, that's another one for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have done and said many good things in comments. Not me, you guys. So when we spoke the other day, that I spoke to you about that, gold is performing better than Bitcoin, right? Gold is performing better than Bitcoin. You're not gonna believe. You got a couple of salty, bitter, Bitcoin fans. And I don't, what I'm saying? You need to know. You don't know what you're saying. Bitcoin. And they were getting angry, because, como todo en la vida, you want to defend what you have, what you have and what you're in. So you got people that they're very, very upset that I spoke about gold. It's what I keep on telling you. And let me tell you, it's only a few, because, the others don't dare to come no more. They forget about this. But you got 2 Lambones more, 2 more Lambones with make-believe accounts, to say what they want to say. And the other one, ladies and gentlemen, which I told you, and you guys, all of you were laughing about that. And what that was, that was that they were telling you it's better if you want to get your money back instead of buying gold, buy that electric car. You know the electric car. You know that guy. That guy's strange face. You know has like 20 kids. You know worth like I don't know. They say he's close to a trillion dollars. You know that guy. You know to invest in that. You know they can't handle the truth. You know exactly. Thank you, Mr. Damon. Thank you very much, Mr. Damon, for that. So they're mad. They're mad about those things. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I gave you a nice story of how they move around these watches, and they get. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to tell you again. I'm going to tell you one more time. Uh, we know we know that a lot of those channels they have and they live off that. They live off that. First, let me just say this. To props to those people that have the shows. When you sit and you talk by yourself for an hour. An example, me, I probably get to an hour and 15. If I go crazy one day, it might be an hour and a half, right? But those people that do those chats for 6 hours, minimum 3 4 hours, I'm gonna come in their defense. This is for real. Listen, you gotta give them credit where credit is due. No matter what you think about them, you have to. Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that doing me because I like it and I blow steam and I go back to my room next to my wife and I go to bed, boom, I do a little reading, and that's it. But in reality, doing this, it takes a lot of de la chola. You know what chola is? Chola. Chola means your head, It takes a lot from your head. It drains you, it's tiring, it's stressful, blah, 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 blah. So those people that you guys give them a nickel and a dime and all that good stuff, they do deserve it, They do deserve it, and that's fine, you guys are kind, that you guys help them out, that's fine. But you have people they don't deserve it. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And when I do my part, it is because I feel it afterwards. Like when you're like, I gave a little bit too much of my show today. I hurt my elbow. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm trying to say, right? You know what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna give you guys a watch market update so you guys can go to, a la camita, you can go to bed and you can relax. All right, guys? All right? Yes, exactly. That's how it is, Mr. Donut. It's like that, it's like that, and you guys have to, keep your eyes open because there's tough times and there's always one ready to get one over you, get one over you, and these people, I'm gonna tell you something else. They know when somebody knows. You know what I'm trying to say? They know. They'll say, don't frog with Mr. Blair. Don't frog with Mr. Donut. They know by the way you introduce yourself, the way you talk, what you're doing, they know already, they know what's happening. But I'm telling you, everybody else from Miami to California, where they take all their notes, is from over there, from 47th Street, the Diamond District. Don't forget that. It's like that, it's like that. Eh, I'm gonna give you a watch market update, and here it is. This is the Rolex date Eisenkessel. Eisenkessel, like thunder lightning inside, Eisenkessel dial. Date, 40 millimeter, reference number 228235, rose gold. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful watch. It's a beautiful watch, but don't believe that number of $67,000. Don't believe that number. Don't pay more than $55,000, all right? That's the first one. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a watch which I have always talked about it very, very fond. You know, it's the Adamas Piquet Royal Oak Frosted, you know, white gold with a purple dial. Beautiful watch. Beautiful, beautiful watch. Beautiful watch. And this reference number is the 26331 with the letters. When I told you, when you hear BC, BA, TBR, TBA, STD, you know, when you when you hear that, run to the hills, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, this watch in that era, you know, in that Corona era, you know, Corona beer era, I'm telling you, this watch, man, so many people got flim flam that it was nasty, you know, it was nasty. 41 millimeter, you know, 41 millimeter purple dial. It's an unbelievable, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, this watch, without being ashamed, this watch, you know, tirándole bajito, going low, 375,000 papi. Una locura. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Blair, because I know you know about that. 375, man. It was unbelievable. You know what it is to pay 375 just because you had a PPP loan? You were gonna pay 375, and none of those people have anything left because they spend it the same way they got it. They pissed it away. You know, eso es así. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you, don't pay for that watch. Don't pay for that watch more. That purple, you know, purple rain. Don't pay more than $146,000 in dropping. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want. Now listen to that. 375, don't pay more than 145, 146, 144, 143. Papi, te dejaron como arroz. They left you like rice, you know, cooked rice. Te dejaron como arroz, papá. And it's like that, you know. You have to hear what it is, ladies and gentlemen. You have to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a Rolex white gold, you know, Ghost, right? You have a Rolex white gold Ghost, Oyster Flex, right? You know, with the rubber and the buckle is white gold, the casing is white gold, right? So that watch, they'll tell you for that watch, you know, 39, 41, 44, depends who it is, you know, depends who it is. That is an Oyster Flex. You know, the one that I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is a Rolex Daytona. It goes 40 millimeter, solid white gold, casing and bracelet, 40 millimeter, you know, not Oyster Flex, todo oro, all gold, ladies and gentlemen, you know, reference number 116509. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this, you do whatever you want. But don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. Can somebody guess how much I'm going to tell you for that solid white gold Ghost 40 millimeter silver dial? You know, it's a silver dial, but they call it Ghost. You know, Casper, the friendly ghost. You know, anybody know? Nobody knows. It's not an Oyster Flex. Oh my God, this luxury. You see, I'm telling you, luxury gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to hear this. He has, you know, he has to be connected. You know, he's connected and he was also corrected. You understand me? Ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that Ghost. Don't pay for that Ghost. Don't pay for that Ghost. Ready? Don't pay more than $36,000. Mr. Luxury Gentleman and Mr. Donut, you guys set the same numbers. Don't pay more than $36,000. I got to tell you the truth. This is going to be tomorrow. This show is going to be people, they're going to be mad. They're going to be mad. You heard what that guy said about over there from Japan and Hong Kong, what they do. You know, he blew the whistle, man. He just said it. He didn't care. Lo tiró para la calle. He threw him under the bus. I don't care. I'm like Ralph Cramden. You know who Ralph Cramden is from the Honeymooners? You know Ralph Cramden. He has a blabbermouth. Well, I have a blabbermouth too. Allegedly. You know? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about a watch. It's a Vacheron Constantin overseas, ladies and gentlemen. The 7900V. Stainless steel, black dial, 7900. You know, 7900. It's an unbelievable watch. B546, black dial, 41 millimeter. Ladies and gentlemen, this watch it's an unbelievable watch. Unbelievable watch. Retail price of that watch is $31,400. 31,000. I think it's $31,900. $31,900. And ladies and gentlemen, does anybody know what I'm going to turn out to pay for that Vacheron Constantin overseas? 41 millimeter, 7900V black dial. Anybody know? Nobody knows? Man, you're right there, Renato. You're right there. You went a little under, but you're right there. One more and we're going. One more, we're gone. Nobody knows? Okay, here it goes then. Don't pay. Don't pay for that Vacheron Constantin. You went super under. Don't pay for that watch more than $23,000 in dropping. Wow, Renato, wow. You went to 20, you went up, okay. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another Vacheron Constantin. Vacheron Constantin overseas, another overseas. But this watch here, it really bugs me out. It does, because this is a very, I consider it un reloj complicado, you know, a complicated watch, you know, complicado. Not grand complications, but to me is, maybe to you it's not, but to me it is, you know. And this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Vacheron Constantin overseas, stainless steel, the 4000V 210A with a beautiful blue dial, you know, beautiful blue dial, 41 millimeter. Ladies and gentlemen, the retail price of this watch is $48,200. To me, I mean, I'm always going to tell you, to me, Vacheron Constantin, papi, man, they're in that level of the APs, you know, Pateks, Rolex, you know, those monster watches, you know, they're in that same level, but for some reason they push them out of the table, you know, they push them out, you know, they out of the lunchroom, get out of my table, don't sit with me, you know. And these people have done many good things with their bracelets, you know, you can take them off easily, put a rubber back on, they got tremendous movement. I'm dare to say, 34,000, Mr. Jose Diaz is saying, $34,000. And I'll dare to tell you, if they're not the oldest, you know, watchmakers, you know, ever, they're there. They're one of them. How's that? You know, you can Google it right now and tell me, you know? You understand? So this watch right here, the retail price is $48,200, and Mr. Jose Diaz said $34,000. And let me tell you, Jose Diaz is not far from the truth. Not far. Does anybody got one more? One more? Anybody? One more? No? Don't pay for that watch, for that Vacheron Constantin 4000V. Don't pay for that watch more than $35,500. All right, guys? It's what it is. It's what it is, papi. It's what it is. You know, the watch industry right now, they're creating. They have become creators. They're very creative. I just gave you the biggest one today. So tomorrow you can, you know, maybe tonight you can pass it along to somebody. Oh, be careful, bro. You know, when you see those watches that they're under, is to get you. They're gonna get you, and they're gonna give you the watch, but you're gonna pay and you're gonna wait for a while. You know, and he's gonna double dip. You think he wasn't getting a cut with the guy from Hong Kong? You think so? You don't think so? I have a Lambon. Yeah, I have a Lambon. Yeah. We have a Lambon. We're gonna fleece him. Yeah. Okay. And you got for me how much? I got for you 1,500. Okay, perfect. You know, 1,500. You know, with the guy over there. You know, over there, Japan, Hong Kong. You know, Ching Ching. $1,500. Now he's gonna get you with the, pay the dues, pay all the dues down, gonna get you with that too. Bobby, they're creative. You don't know about this kind of stuff, Bobby. It's very stressful for me, to tell you all these things, very stressful. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is a Richard Mille. This is what we call the starter kit. When you were a little kid, you had a little tricycle, Exactly. The wannabes. Those little bicycles that you would get for Christmas, and they had the training wheels in the back. You had the front tire, the back tire, and then you had two little ones in the back, and you would go sideways. You know what I'm trying to say when you were over there. And every time my father would loosen it up a little more, and the more he would loosen, the more I would go this way, so I had to straighten out. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to give it to you. The Huffy bike. I had like a banana seat. Unbelievable. Big steering wheel. Training wheels. Thank you, Damon. Training wheels. It's unbelievable. And ladies and gentlemen, what up? It's unbelievable because, I had a beautiful childhood, but there were things missing in my life. And you might be thinking missing like what, Like all the toys that I had were hand-downs, They would give me a G.I. Joe, a hand-down G.I. Joe, but he had his head missing. I had to do an imagination that he had a head. I got a big wheel. I had a big wheel. I had the front tire, a big wheel, but I had one tire missing in the back because it was already wasted. It was plastic. It breaks. So I told people these things that I had a beautiful life, but I had missing things. And people asked me, did you have a G.I. Joe? Did you have a big wheel? Did you have a Huffy bike? And I say always yes, but it had parts missing. I don't know about you guys because you guys seem to me like you guys, had a beautiful life, I mean, I had a beautiful life again, one more time. I'm just saying that at times it was incomplete. Scout's honor, man. No lie. And I made a promise, man, that I will make up, for, all the things that, I didn't get the right way. Like, remember the G.I. Joes, they had different camouflage, army suits and, scuba divers and all that. Man, I had hand-downs and hand-downs from, from people that I was probably 9 years old. They were already 30. And they would give me down, pass down all their stuff. Anyway, going back to this, ladies and gentlemen, this Richard Mille is like the training, the training wheels, like Mr. Damon said, the training wheels, we're gonna give you this Richard Mille, so you can then go to the the RM11. You know what I'm saying? You start going up, but you start with this one. And ladies and gentlemen, this Richard Mille is unbelievable. It's the RM016, the ultra thin. It's square. It's not a Curvex. None of the above. It's square. It's square. You know what I'm saying, Pete. And ladies and gentlemen, they will get you with that watch, and people were paying for that watch, $110,000 in the Corona B era. You're talking about, something, very economic in the AD of RMs, But people were buying these watches to try to get that RM1103, etc., etc. And this watch went all the way up because, they were selling it. The people were going crazy for this little square, ultra thin, RM016. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's crazy when I say this, but this watch was at one moment, it kept on dropping, right? But it got to a moment that it was at 69, 68, 67. And I'm going to tell you today, does anybody know what I'm going to tell you? I'm interested to know if anybody knows. Mr. Pete made a comment, yeah, maybe he knows. One number, 45. Give me one more. 45, go ahead. I'm not gonna say if it's close or I'm gonna be quiet. But tell me, go ahead. 45. Anybody else? Nobody? Nobody wants to talk about that one? Nobody, right? Okay. Don't pay for that watch, for that Richard Mille. You know, training wheels, Richard Mille. Don't pay more than $51,000. Don't pay more than $51,000. Right? There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about a Rolex White Gold Yachtmaster. Oyster Flex. You know, gem set. Gem set. You know, on the lugs, on the bezel, baguette rocks, everywhere. You know, you have to be somebody special to get that watch, you know, off catalog, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. But this watch is dead in water. Even sometimes off catalogs are really off, you know, are really off. Oyster Flex, Yacht Master, you know, it has diamonds everywhere you can think, you know, the dial everywhere. I know, it's unbelievable, this watch. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a watch that's $150,000. You know, 150, 200 that we're asking for it. You know what I'm trying to say, Mr. Donut, you know? The RBR, that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying, you know? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you the reference number just in case you want to look it up. It's the 226679, T as in Tom, B as in boy, R as in run. Okay? That's it right there. That is the reference number. And ladies and gentlemen, it's embarrassed to say, I still wouldn't even pay this for that watch. I still would not even pay that for that watch. But they're going to be angry at me because I'm going to give you this price. If you're thinking of buying that thing, because even Rolex gets it wrong too, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pay for that watch more than $87,000. Don't pay more. I wouldn't buy it. If you ask me, if you call me or send me a text or an email, I said I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. You know, I will not put $87,000 on that thing. I call it. I'm sorry if anybody has it here. If anybody has it, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Rolex White Gold. I take it back. I take it back. This is an AP Royal Oak stainless steel chrono green dial, reference number 26240, 41 millimeter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an anniversary watch. It's not an anniversary watch, and I'm going to tell you, don't pay for that watch, for that chrono with a green dial, stainless steel. Beautiful watch. You know, it's like a G.I. Joe green, you know, camouflage green, you know, like that type of green. It's not a crayon green. It's not a shocking green. It's not a Daytona John Mayer green. It's just, you know, don't pay for that watch more than $51,000. You do whatever you want, okay? Don't pay more than $51,000. Our next watch, ladies and gentlemen, is an AP Royal Oak Rose Gold. Perpetual calendar. Blue dial. Un animal de reloj. An animal of a watch. You know, and it's embarrassed to say 41 millimeter. You know, it's embarrassed to say what this watch was being sold. And again, you know, we're going back to those times, so you can see where it was and where it is today. That watch was over $350,000, man. You know, you had that rose gold, blue dial, perpetual calendar. Las niñas te tiran las panty, cagá, pero te las tiran, papi, te las tiran. I know what I'm telling you. I know what I'm telling you. You have that watch on your wrist, papi, and you know, la mami gritan, they scream, ah, like the Beatles, you know, they scream for you. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that watch. Don't get scared, boys. Don't pay for that watch more than $117,000. Papi, esto está jodido, brother. Esto está jodido. Ten cuidado con tu chavo, brother. Ten cuidado. Julius, ten cuidado con tu dinero, Julius. Tú ten cuidado. You're a smart man. No, ten cuidado. No, 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 no. No, no. No seas un lambón ni ningún pariguayo. No seas pariguayo. No seas pariguayo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you a watch now that, you know, these people from over there, from Xinjiang, you know, Xinjiang over there, from, you know, over there, you know, Asia, you know, over there, people from Asia, Japan, all those people over there. This is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Richard Mille RM11 Asia. Asia, listen to this. RM11 Asia Boutique Edition. Esto es una jodienda with carbon, you know, white gold, and then it has carbon in the middle like a sandwich. You never eat, ever had the bread, Wonder Bread, you know, and you put jelly or peanut butter, and you put it like that, it's a sandwich. You know, white gold, and then, you know, the carbon there, you know, that material, STD, you know, you put it there. And then this has factory, I repeat to you, factory diamond dials all over the casing. You know, from factory. Not that they put it over there in the basement, you know, in that building in downtown with a hammer. Tap, tap, tap. No. It was done over there with those Richie Millies over there in the plant. And ladies and gentlemen, so you heard that. Richard Mille, RM11, Boutique Asia Boutique Edition, white gold, factory diamond. Papi, esto era un animal de reloj. It's just for whales. Right? For whales. You say, but how much? Papi, you got to get $600,000. You got to get this. You got to get 700. If it's the guy over there, the Iron Sheik tunic man, you know, over there too, from over there, you know, over there, you know, he wears that suit, white, and with the black thing in his hat, like that, you know, tunic man, Iron Sheik, you know, it's unbelievable. This guy has them all. And when I tell you this, you're going to go, no, hold on. And this watch, I told you, because you guys forget, but I'm going to tell you, I told you, I would say 2 months ago, I told you don't pay more than $210,000, right? You're saying, well, he's already telling us the price. Yeah, I told you don't pay more than 210 2 months ago. Para un reloj boutique, Asia, adición con diamante white gold, STD carbon, you know, sandwich, you know, all that good stuff. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, porque yo soy una gonorrea. Yo soy el diablo. Yo soy el diablo, ladies and gentlemen. You need to know this. I'll pay for that watch more than $190,000. Don't pay more than $190,000 and I got to do it. And bang, you know, that's what it is. And I'm going to hurt my elbow. Hurts me, you know. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. So you know where Richard Mille watches are at. Richard Mille watches are dead in water, Poppy. Don't even pay $190 for that watch. Don't even pay. The only people that are buying those watches are them. You know, hyping it among each other. They can't hype it no more, Poppy. There comes a moment that they hype it among each other que se tranca. You didn't understand that. Does anybody understand what I said? You know? Thank you, Mr. Donut. There's a moment there that they hype up the watch and they can continue hyping it while the thing is on fire. But there's a moment, I just finished explaining to you. Tú entendiste, ¿verdad, Alex? If there's a moment there, they say, there's nothing we can do with this, man. You know when the doctor says, there's nothing we can do with the patient, se jodió. It's the same thing with that watch. Se jodió. There's no more. No hay, you understand me, luxury gentlemen. You know what I'm trying to say. No hay más, papi. No, there's no more. No hay más. So from there, what it does is just keep on going down. Because the last lambón, a lost cause. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, me duele mucho, Pete. So what happens is that the last one that stays with it es el que se jodió. Se quedó con el mojón. Se jodió. Se quedó con el mojón. If you don't know what mojón is, you Google it. I'm not going to tell you. Ask one of your recovering tomato cans buddies, you know, in the chat. They'll tell you. You know, I'm not going to tell you. So what happens is, like the potato, like the hot potato, exactly. Te jodiste ahora. So you stay with it, and you pay this number, and then you're saying, man, that Puerto Rican guy, he said 2 months ago, don't pay more than $210,000, and I pay for the watch $215,000, and he's already suffering. I'm giving it to you guys. Come on, dude. This is a pretty good show today, guys. I'm giving you a little acting and everything, you know. You know, and then he gets desperate and desperate. Now, when he hears this number today, he goes bananas, more bananas, you know. I'm telling you what it is, lady. El mojón, papá. El mojón. Te quedaste con el mojón. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is a watch. I'm leaving this beauty for last. This is an FP Journe. Unbelievable. You know, Centigraph, Sport, you know, line, 44 millimeter, black titanium. Unbelievable. All black, and the gauges are in red, you know. This is an unbelievable. The line Sport, you know, titanium. And the white dial with the red, it's an unbelievable machine. Papi, these people were saying, because there's levels of watches that they put us, you know, in categories. Well, you know, Kino and Juan Nieves, they look at, you know, at the Rolex, and then, you know, an AP, and maybe they'll have a Patek, you know, and they stop there with me and Kino, you know. They stop there, and then they talk about, you know, a Richard Mille, and they put in the FP Journe there, you know, because an FP Journe will cost you 600,000, 700,000. Today they're asking for Richard Milles, if you don't know it. I mean, excuse me. They're asking on FP Journe, they're asking $400,000, like it's a joke, you know, like it's a joke. And this watch was all the way up there, And you're gonna say, coño, but it's still, you know, compared to where it was and where it's today, but it's still strong. You say, coño, it's still strong, you know, it's still there. And this watch is a 44 millimeter, you know, black, you know, with the red little gauges, white. It's a beautiful watch. And I gotta tell you, this watch was over $400,000 at one moment. And I'm gonna tell you, all of you, and you do whatever you want. This is the last watch market update of the evening. Don't pay for that watch if you're looking for it. It's a beautiful watch. It is. It's another, you know, it's those guys, you know, from Rolly Fest, you know, with the bow tie and the monkey suits. Those people, you know, those people, oh, those are the ones. Oh, with the yellow dial, exactly. But this watch, I'm going to tell you, don't pay for this watch more than $171,000. And this watch is dropping because it's been dropping. It was over 200 and something, and it's going down. All right, guys? So there's your watch market update. I hope you learned something today from the show and put it to good use. Don't be greedy with your information. Do not be greedy with your information. Pass it along, share it to your people, let them know what they're doing now, you know, with the sketch, you know, with watches from, you know, different parts of the world, bringing them in, paying this, duties, that, blah, 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 okay? Don't forget that. Gracias a todo. Gracias a todo. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And like I say always, like me and Sweet Cake Kino say always, take care and brush your hair. Good night, guys. Good night.